In my late 20s, I got introduced to the idea of financial freedom, the day when your capital has reached a level when you can live off the interest. My monthly expenses were really low at this time, so I figured out that if I reached $140,000, I would reach my goal, because I calculated that if I would have an 8% interest, that would mean $11,200 per year. So this was my target number that I was aiming for. A lot of people would probably argue that this is a way too low number to be able to live comfortably, reach financial freedom. And in the FIRE movement, they actually talk about the 4% rule that you need to be able to live comfortably on 4% of your assets. So in my case, that would mean the double the initial number. So this would be $280,000, double what I had originally planned for. But being introduced to this idea of a number and reaching financial freedom became a big motivator for me. I must say that this also made me committed to put aside money each month to invest, rather than just keeping money in a bank account, which is a common habit of the lower middle class. But I must say that I disagree with the idea of quitting working after reaching financial independence. You see, I tried scaling down and living pretty much semi-retired, but people around you will then assume that you're unemployed. I also believe that there are many good qualities like purpose, drive, and happiness that come from actually working and doing things. If you would stop working, you would also start to lose some of the abilities that you have built up. Charlie Munger, he writes about this in his book, Poor Charlie's Almanac. He basically said that in order to keep your skills and abilities, you need to practice them continuously. So if you would stop working or using these skills, then you would start losing them. They would start to fade gradually. I also think that what you do is very much tied up to your identity. If someone is an excellent doctor and is used to having other people viewing them as an excellent doctor, they will feel rather strange when they retire or if they quit working as a doctor, because now people will not see them as this. So now their identity will be challenged. The second argument for not quitting your job after reaching financial independence is that we might have a recession or depression lurking around the corner. The markets have historically risen for the past 100 years. But let's say there was a person who was able to retire early at 50 years old, 1929, just before the big depression came. It would take another 25 years after that crash before the Dow reached the same level, before the markets recovered. And that is quite a long time until your nest egg recovers, especially if you have retired and is not working. Another reason to not stop working when you reach financial independence is that you might lose a lot of valuable relationships. In my coaching business, I saw a lot of lonely people from many different groups in society. And if they would quit their job or stop doing what they're doing to bring in income, chances are that they would be even more isolated or more lonely than before. Many people talk about a loneliness epidemic, and I think early retirement could really worsen that. I'm not sure if there's any research done on early retirement and the health impacts of that. But in my experience, people who retire early and stop working or selling their business might see a big health impact. Or one friend I had who sold his business, he actually died 6 months after selling it. He was a man in his 70s, very active and fit, and had a really young, sharp mind. And 6 months after selling his business, he passed away. So this might be another reason not to stop working while reaching financial independence. Because I think that we need challenges. We need to solve problems each day, and we need to contribute to society. Some of the oldest, healthiest people I have met have been working into their 90s. For example, when I lived in Båstad, a small city on the west coast of Sweden, I had two neighbors who were a couple in their 90s. And the woman in this couple, she was still working as a lawyer, as a real estate lawyer. And they were also very active in supporting their neighbors and being friendly towards people they met. So I really think that those qualities and continuing to work helped them to stay alive and living a good life for so long. Another example of how positive work can be for our health is my own grandfather, who is 94 years old. And he still goes out each day to saw wood at 94. So thanks to being physically active and doing this each day, he has been able to stay mentally sharp and to keep his physical strength. And Even though he retired as his job as a painter, he really enjoys being out working and doing physical work each day. One time he said that you never sleep as well as after a hard day's work. So let's see what one of my favorite books, The Richest Man in Babylon, has to say about financial freedom and retiring early. This is a classic about how to get out of debt and to build assets, and the author does it through really inspiring stories from ancient Babylon. So there are 7 points in this book that are really important to take home. So number 1, start thy purse to fattening. Number 2, control thy expenditures. Number 3, make thy gold multiply. Number 4, guard thy treasures from loss. Number 5, make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Number 6, ensure a future income. Number 7, increase thy ability to earn. So in point number 1, we're basically taught to save 10% of our income. If we have a basket with eggs and we each day put 10 eggs in the basket, but we each day also only take out 9, the basket will soon be overflowing with eggs. And the same principle we can apply to our wallet or to our bank account. We save more than we take out each month. So the book recommends us to make a budget so that we are able to live on 90% of our income and put aside 10%. And this 10% we invest in what experts agree on are sound and safe investments that can start earning interest for us. So our money is basically our employees that should work for us. And the interest that that money earns, the children of those employees are also employees that work for us. And in order to put this money to work, we need to start learning the difference between scams and what is a real sound investment. So by doing so, we can make sure that our money is safe, and if we would need it, we can draw upon it. The book also introduces the idea that buying a house can be a great way to increase net worth, because if we buy a house, our monthly payments will go to our own balance sheet. We're paying ourselves, basically, rather than seeing that money leave our account and go to a landlord each month. So the book teaches us to plan our retirement in advance, so that when the day comes when we don't have energy to work because of old age, we will have enough resources to support ourselves. The last step in the book is described as the most important, and that is increase your ability to earn by educating yourself, becoming more effective, etc. So increasing how much money we're earning each month will increase our ability to put aside more money for investments while living a great high quality life and while taking care of our family. So it is now important to note that in one of these most influential finance books the last 100 years, not in one single place in this book, they write when your net worth reaches a certain amount, you should retire early. In point 6, we're taught to prepare for retirement for a day when we're no longer able to work. But in point 7, we are taught to increase how much we earn each month, not lower that number. So let's see what the legendary Charlie Munger had to say about financial independence and retiring early. In his book, Poor Charlie's Almanac, he writes that a big motivating factor for him was financial independence. So he said, "Like Warren, I had a considerable passion to get rich. Not because I wanted Ferraris. I wanted independence. I desperately wanted it. I thought it was undignified to have to send invoices to other people. I don't know where I got that notion from, but I had it." So Warren Buffett, he actually convinced Charlie Munger to get out of his normal day job as a lawyer to focus fully on investing, because he saw that there would be a much more potential doing this. So how does this relate to what we have talked about until now? Did Charlie Munger advocate early retirement? Or what did he do when he reached financial independence? So it is worth to note that Charlie Munger, he remained the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway until his death at 99. He also was on the board of Washington Post and on one hospital. So even though he had ended his career as a lawyer many years ago, he remained active in other roles until the day that he died. And while he did this, he actually earned a lot more than he would have been able to if he would have continued as a lawyer. So in doing so, he actually followed the 7th step in this book and increasing how much he was able to earn. He did not quit his law business, fly to some exotic beach and just drank pina coladas all day. No, Charlie, he remained active and studied many different subjects deeply and was able to contribute to Berkshire Hathaway as the vice chairman. So Charlie Munger, he remained active and continued to work until the day that he passed away at 99. But he worked with things that he enjoyed and also things that helped him to make more money. And if we would apply the same method of thinking here, it could mean that we only leave our job when our new business or our new project makes more than our previous job. This could also mean selling a business when the profit of that sale would be larger than if you would keep running it. I believe that a business has a lifespan, and if you could sell that at the right time, that could be one of the most financially rewarding things you could do in your life. It could also mean switching tracks when an obviously better opportunity presents itself. Perhaps there's a great business that has some temporary hiccup or that is facing some financial trouble, and you are able to become an owner or a partner at a great price. You might also feel that now when you have reached financial freedom, you would like to have a more attractive career or a more enjoyable job, so going back to study might make sense. This would also align with point 7 in this book: increase your ability to earn. For example, a person who have worked a really tough, physically hard job like in pig farming or in an oil rig or a mine or some dangerous job might now want to switch up to a more enjoyable, safe position or a more advanced position. Perhaps they have felt stuck before and that they really needed this job to reach this goal or to support themselves. But now when they have reached this financial freedom or initial stages of that, it might make sense to make the jump to switch to a better position or to study in order to do this. So I hope you got a new perspective on financial freedom, and that instead of retiring early, you can focus on developing yourself and work in more fun ways and still being active and contributing to society. Thanks so much for watching. See you next week.